Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring how to achieve, well, pretty much anything you set your mind to. We're talking strategies that took an Olympic rowing team from last place all the way to the gold medal podium.
It sounds intense.
It is, but it's also surprisingly relatable. We'll be looking at excerpts from Will It Make the Boat Go Faster? It's a book by Olympic gold medalist Ben Hunt Davis.
Okay, so we're getting inside the mind of an Olympian.
Exactly. And to help us unpack it all, we've got our expert here. You know, when I hear Olympic athlete, I kind of assume their life is just totally different from mine. Like, what can I really learn from someone who's operating at that level?
Right, it's easy to think that. But that's where this book gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, what Hunt Davis shows is that the same mental game that wins Olympic gold. It can also help you land that promotion, write a novel, finally master that new skill you've been putting off.
So it's not about the actual sport.
Not at all. It's about harnessing the power of your mind to achieve extraordinary results. It doesn't matter what your arena is.
I like that, your arena.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into the first big idea. Hunt Davis talks about this concept of layered goals. He uses a four-tiered system, starting with what he calls the crazy goal. And honestly, the name is pretty accurate.
I was going to say, it sounds about right for an Olympian.
Right. For Hunt Davis, that crazy goal was winning Olympic gold. But for you, it can be anything. Anything that feels wildly ambitious right now.
The key insight here is that any goal, no matter how crazy or ambitious it seems, you can break it down into manageable steps.
So you're not just staring at this massive, overwhelming goal.
Right. You're creating a path forward.
So you break it down.
Exactly. You have that crazy goal at the top. Then you get into the concrete goal, something specific and measurable.
So you can track your progress.
Exactly. And then you break that down even further into those smaller, controllable goals.
And those are the things you can actually do something about every day.
Exactly. You're in control.
It's like reverse engineering your success.
I like that. It really is.
He gives some great examples in the book, but I was trying to think about it in my own life. Let's say your crazy goal is to buy a vacation home. Your concrete goal might be saving a specific down payment amount in the next 3 years. Your controllable goals could be creating a budget, maybe picking up a side hustle or selling some stuff you don't need.
Dang practical.
And then those everyday actions, those could be things like packing your lunch or cutting back on those streaming subscriptions.
Those little things add up, right?
Blue.
It takes this huge dream and turns it into a series of, doable steps.
It's like building a staircase to your goal, one step at a time.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that Hunt Davis doesn't just talk about setting those goals. He also dives deep into how to stay motivated, even when things get tough.
Yeah, because let's be real, motivation is, well, it's fickle. It's not something you can just, summon on demand.
You can't just will yourself to be motivated all the time.
Definitely not. But Hunt Davis has this whole toolkit of strategies for cultivating motivation. One thing he emphasizes is the power of commitments. We're more likely to let ourselves down than someone else, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So making a commitment to a friend.
Or a coach, a mentor, even putting it out there on social media.
Yeah, it creates that extra layer of accountability.
For sure. He also talks about the power of focusing on the positive.
Yeah, like celebrating those small wins along the way.
Exactly. When we dwell on what's not working, it's easy to get discouraged. But when we celebrate those little victories, it reinforces our efforts.
It keeps you going.
It fuels your motivation.
He even advocates for daydreaming, like vividly picturing yourself achieving that goal, almost like creating a mental movie trailer of your success.
And that's actually backed by research. The more we immerse ourselves in that feeling of achieving the goal, the more driven we become to make it a reality.
That's so cool. Hunt Davis also had this concept of flicking the switch. Imagine going from relaxing at home to being totally focused the moment you step into the office.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It's like you have this mental ritual.
It signals to your brain, okay, it's game time.
Exactly. For me, it's sometimes music. Certain playlists just get me in the zone for work. What about you? Do you have any switch flipping rituals?
Oh, absolutely. I have a specific spot in my office where I do my most focused work. It's almost like stepping into a different mindset when I sit down there.
It's amazing how these little things can make such a big difference. You know what else Hunt Davis talks about that I found super helpful? His framework for building unshakable beliefs. He calls it DICE-E. And it really made me rethink how I approach my own goals.
Okay, Dicey, tell me more. What I love about that framework is that it breaks down belief into 4 tangible elements: deserved, important, can do, and exciting.
Ooh, I like that.
And when all four of those are in place, it creates this foundation of confidence that can really propel you forward.
The deserve part really struck me. It's about truly believing that you are worthy of achieving your goal, that you deserve success. We get so caught up in self-doubt,
Oh, yeah, all the time.
But Hunt Davis encourages us to, strip away those insecurities and just recognize our own inherent worthiness.
Yeah, that's huge. And that ties in with the important element. If your goal isn't truly meaningful to you, if it doesn't align with your values, it's going to be a lot harder to stay motivated.
Especially when things get tough.
For sure.
He tells this hilarious story about nearly wearing a dress to the Olympic opening ceremony in Barcelona.
What?
I know, right?
Yeah.
It highlights his idea of focusing on what really matters, filtering out all the distractions.
There's always going to be noise, but it's about choosing what to tune into.
Exactly.
And that leads us to can do. This is about believing in your own capabilities, believing in your skills and your potential.
And he talks about actively hunting for evidence to support this belief, like drawing on memories of past wins, learning from role models, even using metaphors to shift your perspective.
It's like building a case file for your own success.
I love that.
Right. And the final piece of the DICE framework is exciting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's about infusing the journey with passion and enthusiasm. When you genuinely enjoy the process, the hard work feels less like a chore and more like an adventure.
It's like, why would you even do it if it wasn't exciting?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these layered goals, strategies for boosting motivation, a framework for building strong beliefs. It feels like we're really building a solid foundation here.
Yeah.
But Hunt Davis doesn't stop there. He also talks about something he calls bullshit filters,
Okay, now we're talking.
which is basically about protecting your mindset, filtering out negative or unhelpful information.
We're bombarded with negativity all the time, both from external sources and, honestly, from our own minds.
That's true.
Learning to filter out that noise is crucial for maintaining momentum and staying focused on your goals.
He has this great story about one of his crewmates keeping a box of negative comments people had made about him. And instead of letting it get him down, he used it as fuel. He turned that negativity into pure determination.
That's amazing. It's a powerful example of how we can reframe our relationship with negativity. It's not about pretending it doesn't exist. It's about choosing how we respond to it.
And that includes filtering out negative self-talk. The inner critic that can sabotage our efforts.
Ugh, tell me about it.
Hunt Davis encourages us to, identify and challenge those negative thoughts and replace them with more empowering ones.
We have a choice in how we perceive things. Choosing a positive lens can make all the difference.
All right, so we've laid the groundwork. We've got our goals set. We're fired up. Our beliefs are strong, and our bullshit filters are in place. Feels like we're prepped and ready to go. But how do we actually make it happen? How do you translate all of this mental preparation into concrete action?
Well, that's where Hunt Davis introduces this RIGHT framework. It's a 5-step process for taking action and turning, intention into reality.
Okay, a roadmap for getting things done.
Exactly.
So walk me through this RIGHT framework. What's the first step?
The W stands for wardrobe.
Wardrobe.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that we often have more control than we realize.
Okay, I'm listening.
He uses this analogy of opening a wardrobe, stepping inside, and choosing what to wear. You have agency, You have the power to make choices.
Instead of feeling like things are just happening to you.
Exactly. He tells this story about a woman in a group coaching session who felt totally powerless, overwhelmed by her circumstances.
She had no options.
Right. But when she applied this wardrobe concept, she realized she actually had way more choices than she initially thought.
It's all about perspective.
It really is.
So what comes after wardrobe?
The R stands for rainbow.
Okay, keeping the analogy going.
It's all about recognizing that there are multiple paths to achieving a goal. We don't have to be limited by a single approach.
Like there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. It's not about finding the right way. It's about finding the best way for you.
Based on your individual needs, your preferences.
Exactly. And that leads us to the I, which stands for iguana.
Iguana. Okay, now we're getting a little wild.
I know, right? It's a bit whimsical. But it refers to the importance of choosing a path that truly resonates with you, even if it's unconventional or unexpected.
So not being afraid to be different.
Yeah, go for the iguana,
Yeah.
even if it's not the most traditional path.
I love that. So what are the last two steps in the RIGHT framework?
A T stands for take, as in take that first step.
Sounds simple enough.
Right. But it's often the hardest part.
Oh, absolutely. Overcoming that procrastination. Just starting. even if it's a small step.
Exactly, and that's where the final step comes in. Effort.
So it's not enough to just start.
Nope, you have to keep showing up, putting in the effort, even when it gets challenging.
Consistency is key. Speaking of showing up consistently, one of the things that really stood out to me in the book was Hunt Davis's focus on teamwork. He doesn't just talk about individual achievement. He really emphasizes how crucial a strong team is for reaching ambitious goals.
Yeah, and he makes this great distinction between teams that are truly effective and those that are just, well, kind of there. He talks about what he calls a goal.
Goal. Okay, now I'm really curious.
It stands for measurable, mutual benefit, and mutual desire.
Okay, breaking it down.
The measurable part is key because it provides clarity and accountability. Everyone on the team knows what success looks like and how their contributions help achieve it.
So no one's left wondering what they should be doing.
Exactly. And then mutual benefit ensures everyone has a stake in the outcome.
Like everyone wins together.
Exactly.
He uses the example of his rowing team. Each member had a specific role. They had to rely on each other.
It was the synergy of the entire crew working together that led them to victory.
And then there's mutual desire.
This is about making sure everyone is passionate about the goal.
It's not just about understanding it. It's about that shared drive to succeed.
Exactly, being all in together.
And I think that's what makes his insights on teamwork so powerful. It's not just strategies. It's about building that sense of connection, that shared purpose within a team.
And he also acknowledges that challenges and conflicts are going to happen, but he encourages teams to view those as opportunities for growth.
So healthy conflict is okay.
As long as it's handled constructively.
It's about creating an environment where everyone feels comfortable sharing ideas, giving feedback.
And supporting each other.
Open communication is so important.
Absolutely.
So we've got this framework for building a high-performing team. But how do we maintain that high performance over time? How do we avoid getting complacent?
That's where Hunt Davis introduces this concept of a process-driven approach. It's about focusing on the how rather than just the what.
So analyzing the steps you're taking, not just the end result.
Exactly. Understanding the mechanics of what leads to success and constantly refining those processes.
So rowing smarter, not just harder.
Exactly. And that applies to any field.
Running a business, writing a book, being more productive.
It's about understanding the process.
He breaks down this process-driven approach into 3 clear stages.
First stage is get curious about the recipe.
Okay, I like that.
It's about taking the time to understand the factors that contribute to a specific outcome.
Asking questions, experimenting, learning from others.
Exactly. The second stage is focus your attention.
So identifying the most important variables.
Right, and directing your energy towards those areas.
Not trying to do everything at once.
Exactly. And the final stage is measure success.
Oh, so you can see what's working.
Right. Tracking your progress, gathering data, using that information to make adjustments.
Creating a feedback loop.
Exactly.
It's like those fitness trackers. They provide data that helps you understand your patterns and make changes to reach your fitness goals.
Exactly. And what's interesting is how all of these elements we've talked about, the goals, the motivation, the beliefs, the action framework, the process-driven approach, it all works together to create what Hunt Davis calls momentum.
It's that feeling of like forward motion, right?
Exactly, like you're making progress.
Building towards something bigger.
Exactly. And building momentum requires conscious effort, commitment to some key principles. First, like we discussed, is belief. You have to believe in yourself, your goals, your ability to achieve them.
And that belief is something you build through your actions, your successes.
Right. And then there's breaking down those big goals into smaller, manageable chunks.
Making it feel less overwhelming.
Exactly. And then creating daily habits.
Making progress inevitable.
Exactly. And Hunt Davis also emphasizes open communication.
Being honest with yourself and with others.
Yes, being transparent about your progress, your challenges, your needs.
Asking for help when you need it.
Absolutely.
And celebrating those wins along the way.
Yes, because acknowledging those victories reinforces those positive behaviors.
It builds that momentum.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another powerful concept that Hunt Davis explores, change as a catalyst for growth.
Something a lot of people struggle with.
Absolutely. He acknowledges that change can be uncomfortable, daunting, but he argues that it's essential for progress.
He tells the story of the crew's initial resistance to their new coach's methods. Change often comes with skepticism and fear.
It's natural.
But embracing change, even when it's difficult, can lead to breakthroughs.
And he offers some strategies for navigating change effectively. First, anticipate it. Recognize that change is going to happen and prepare yourself.
So instead of fearing change, try to see it as an opportunity.
Exactly. He also reminds us that change takes time.
It's a process.
Right, be patient with yourself.
And focus on the potential benefits of the change.
Remind yourself why you're making the effort.
Surround yourself with supportive people.
Now, even with these strategies, you're still going to encounter setbacks.
It's part of the process.
Exactly. Hunt Davis reminds us that setbacks are a natural part of life.
And they offer opportunities for learning and growth.
He provides a framework to help us bounce back from those setbacks. The Launchpad framework emphasizes preparation, acceptance, and action.
Okay, breaking it down.
Preparation is about anticipating potential challenges, developing strategies to cope with them.
Like mentally rehearsing for those difficult moments.
Exactly. Then acceptance is about acknowledging that setbacks are just part of the journey.
It's about letting go of resistance.
Right, and embracing the opportunity for growth.
And then do is about taking action to overcome the setback.
Focusing on what you can control, finding solutions, moving forward.
Taking charge of the situation.
Exactly.
Speaking of taking charge, one of the most powerful and often misunderstood elements of success is risk.
Hunt Davis argues that risk is essential for achieving any worthwhile goal.
It's about stepping outside your comfort zone.
Embracing uncertainty.
Being willing to fail in order to succeed.
Exactly. And he shares a great example in the book. The crew's decision to use a risky strategy in the Olympic final.
A gamble that could have backfired.
But they weighed the risks, analyzed the potential outcomes, and decided it was their best chance.
And they won gold.
Exactly. He provides a framework for assessing and managing risk. He distinguishes between useful risks and those that are just, reckless.
Not all risks are created equal.
Exactly. He encourages us to analyze the potential consequences of both action and inaction, recognizing that playing it safe can actually be the riskiest choice.
It's that fear of failure holding us back.
Right. And to help us make more informed decisions, he breaks down risk into 4 types. Risks we can afford to take.
Okay, the low-stakes experiments.
Exactly. Then there's risks we can't afford to take.
Reckless gambles.
Right. Risks we can afford not to take.
Missed opportunities.
Right. And finally, risks we can't afford not to take.
The bold moves, the leaps of faith.
Exactly. And he argues that understanding these 4 types is crucial for making informed decisions.
Being strategic about the risks you take.
Now, before we wrap up this discussion on risk, I want to share a story from the book that highlights the importance of seizing opportunities. Just 25 hours before the Olympic final, Hunt Davis and his crew watched their teammates experience a heartbreaking loss.
Wow, that must have been tough to witness.
It was a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of competition and the importance of seizing every opportunity.
It must have fueled their determination even more.
Absolutely.
So they channeled that mix of anxiety and excitement into preparation for the most important race of their lives.
They had a plan, they had a shared commitment, and they had the courage to embrace the risk.
And as they lined up at the starting line, ready to face their toughest competitors, they knew they had done everything in their power to prepare. They'd trained their bodies, they'd honed their skills, and most importantly, they'd cultivated the right mindset.
The one that would allow them to perform at their absolute best.
And so the race began.
The energy at the start of an Olympic final, it's electric. Hunt Davis describes it as this wave of sound and intensity that washes over you.
Wow, I bet.
And for the athletes, it's pure focus. Years of training distilled into those first few strokes.
Now, we were talking about how they decided to go with a risky strategy. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure. Their usual strategy involved a strong start and then a powerful push in the middle 1,000 meters. But for the final, they decided to go all out from the very beginning.
Wow, so they were really putting it all on the line.
They were. It was a gamble. But they'd weighed the risks, analyzed the potential outcomes. They decided this was their best shot at gold.
And as the race unfolded, their gamble started to pay off. They pulled ahead of the other crews.
They established a lead early on.
I can only imagine the adrenaline.
It was intense. The other crews, seeing the threat, they responded, trying to close the gap, reclaim the lead.
But Hunt Davis and his crew held strong.
Their movements were in sync, a testament to all those years of training together.
It's amazing how it all comes down to those critical moments. All that effort, the trust they'd built.
So led to this.
And amidst all that intensity, there's the roar of the crowd, the anticipation, the weight of the world watching.
It's a lot to handle.
I can't even imagine.
Hunt Davis describes it as surreal. The crowd noise is deafening, But at the same time, they were in their own world.
Wow, so they were able to tune it all out.
They were completely focused on the rhythm of their strokes, the feel of the boat, their shared mission.
That's incredible, finding that stillness within the chaos. And as they approached the finish line,
The intensity was at its peak.
must have been incredible.
Hunt Davis says those final meters were a blur. Adrenaline, exhaustion, pure exhilaration.
Every ounce of energy poured into those last few strokes.
It was the culmination of years of dreams and sacrifices.
And then they crossed the finish line.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Hunt Davis describes it as a moment of stunned silence, a sudden shift from the roar of the crowd to the gentle lapping of water against the boat.
Wow, I bet it...
And then, as the realization dawned, the silence erupted into cheers.
they had done it.
They had won Olympic gold.
It gives you chills just thinking about it. All that hard work, all those sacrifices paying off.
It's a testament to human potential, to the idea that we can achieve anything we set our minds to.
And you know what's so inspiring about this story? It's not just about athletic achievement. It's about those universal principles of success we've been talking about.
Exactly. Setting goals, cultivating motivation, building belief, taking action, embracing teamwork, navigating change and risk.
These principles apply to any area of life.
That's what makes this book so powerful. It's a blueprint for achieving extraordinary results, no matter what your field is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are you taking away from this?
What resonated with you most?
I'd encourage you to think about your own crazy goal, that ambitious dream that feels exciting and maybe a little intimidating.
What do you want to achieve?
What's one step you can take right now to start moving towards it?
It could be something small, writing down your goal, sharing it with someone.
The key is to take action.
Remember, the journey to success is rarely a straight line.
There will be setbacks, there will be challenges.
But with the right mindset, the right strategies, and a healthy dose of grit and determination, you can achieve anything you set your mind to.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
We'll be back next week with another fascinating topic, ready to uncover more surprising insights and help you connect the dots between knowledge and action. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing yourself to achieve those crazy goals.